Here's our next artwork by Caspar David Friedrich. This is called Abbey in the Oak Forest. And we have, well, exactly that. We have the ruins of an abbey. An abbey is a Christian church that is ruled by an abbot. The abbot is the lead monk. The church, well, it's gone. All that stands is a ruin of the church. Totally typical of Romanticism. Am I right? I told you last class, right? They love to show these ruins because it's the idea of oh, man has tried so hard to build something that lasts and they always crumble and fall. Okay. Keep that in mind because the Abbey is the ruins of this church here. Obviously, it's no longer in use. There is also a forest of oak trees. Now, oak trees are deciduous, meaning that they lose their leaves in winter. And if we look closer, it's winter. There's snow on the ground. All these little black shapes here are tombstones. So we're looking at the cemetery next to this ruined abbey. And here we see a procession of people walking away underneath the abbey doors. It looks as if they've left a fresh grave. Whoa! Fresh grave? Yeah. So somebody was buried here in this old cemetery where this ruined or this fallen abbey is, in the middle of the winter, in the middle of this forest. Look at the light. Is it day? Is it night? Is it dawn? Is it dusk? It's thick. It's heavy with something. Now, as I said before, with Caspar David Friedrich and these types of landscapes, you're supposed to look upon and contemplate. Here, this is a woman watching or contemplating the painting, give you a sense of scale. But I also want you to, now in front of your computer, in front of your screen, I want you to sit. And I'm going to give you a few moments just to contemplate what you see. How did you feel? What did it make you think of? Did you feel hope? Despair? Did you feel cold? Did you feel sorrowful or mournful? What was it about it? Was there something that was really catching your attention? In terms of the composition, what we're seeing here are 3 levels, or actually 4 levels. What are these 4 levels, Miss Cortez? At the very bottom level, we see the people who are alive. Okay. And they've just buried somebody. And we see individual graves of individual people marking their birth and their death. In terms of the height, the next height level up, if we follow our eye from here and go up, the next height is the Abbey. So the ruins of that Abbey. What does that Abbey symbolize? Well, it symbolizes a greater cultural connection. The church, the community, multiple generations coming and going inside of that church. So we see an individual man or woman. We see a community, a culture of man. The next level up, we see these trees. Nature. Trees have longer lives than humans. Many trees have longer lives than cultures and civilizations. So we see life of a man, the life of men, and nature. Now, nature will die in the winter and come alive in the spring, and that's exactly what these trees will do. It's cold, it's winter, they've lost their leaves. But when the sun comes out and warms this forest, there'll be little green buds, and the trees will thrive, and the animals will come in. So we see this cycle of life in nature. It's longer and more everlasting than the cycle of life of man. And then the fourth level is that sky. You see how the sky dominates most of this painting? What I mean by dominates is it literally takes up more than half of this painting. That sky, it's thick, it's heavy. In terms of how Friedrich wants you to interpret the sky, he wants you to see it as God. He wants you to see this as the overarching power and majesty and eternity of God. So we have our three levels: man, men, nature, and the overarching power of God over all of it. Whoa, okay. Now, back to a question I asked you before. Is this a sunset or a sunrise? Okay, you said sunset. You said sunrise. It's both. It's both, because it can be interpreted either way. If you interpret it as a sunrise, how does it make you feel? If you interpret it as a sunset, how does it make you feel? Interesting. And they're both correct, because this is the Romantic movement. The Romantic movement is about the purity of your emotion and interpretation of it. It's not telling you, this is a story about an abbey that was destroyed and you're supposed to feel this way. That's neoclassicism. Romanticism just presents this and lets you interpret it. He's a genius.